Hello and everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. So basically today the panel we have got an interesting panel discussion, which is the panel discussion number 8, talking about accelerating digital transformation for smart cities in the context of urban infrastructure. So we have got a very interesting and knowledgeable panelist here. So Mr. Sandeep Rawat, he has got a great industry experience, and he have worked with various top companies over the years. So he'll be moderating the panel. Then we have got Sri Shiv Anand Tyal, sir, who is the district collector, Bemtara, Chhattisgarh. So, Shivanand also, I think so everyone must be knowing, I mean, like, we all know him with the kind of work he has done for Nair Raipur Municipal Corporation and Nair Raipur Smart City Limited. Earlier, he was associated with that. Then we have got Sri Mahendra Singh Tanwarji, who is the Municipal Commissioner from Ghaziabad, Nagar Nigam. Then we have got Nilkan Poman sir, who is the CEO of Pimpri Chinchwad Smart City Limited. Then Amit Kumarji is from Jhansi Smart City Limited. And we have got Anup Chaturvedi, who is from Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And there's one more speaker, Mr. Manish. He'll be joining in next 2 minutes. So I think so. We all look forward to an interesting panel discussion. So over to you, Mr. Sandeep Rawat.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Fahim ji, for a nice introduction of all the delegate, all the esteemed, speakers. And I welcome all the delegates on behalf of the conference. And the talking, sticking it with, is basically we will talk on the digital acceleration is for the smart cities in context of urban infrastructure. So setting up the context, if we see the smart cities in India, the models were taken. The models were taken from abroad, and we followed certain principles. And finally, after City Challenge, MOUD guidelines has come. Six areas and 21 services, which were basically aiming at the initial services. So if we talk about today, the smart city growth elements, what we talk about is one is Amrut projects, which aims at the infrastructure, where 500 cities were shortlisted as per the Government of India MOUD plan, and 100 smart cities. 60 projects are already, ongoing, in the installation stages. So now we're bringing the infrastructure, infrastructure, digitalizing it, is the essence, bringing Amrut infrastructure where if you see any smart city, it starts with acquisition of a land. A guy comes who acquire the land, and then the consultant come who develops the land and who actually start the basic initial services, of sanitation, smart lighting, smart roads, communication, gas pipeline, basically infrastructure services. Then we come to the smart city IoT platform services where command and control comes into picture. So setting up the context that we need to integrate and we need to digitize this transformation for smart cities. And now we are in the stage where we are implementing the projects. We are not in the definition stage today, and we need to properly integrate the urban infrastructure, which will necessarily connect not only cities but states also and countrywide also, like projects like DMIDC, Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, where we are building up green cities. As just for the example, like the most of the projects today we are doing is area-based development projects, and then there are some brownfield projects, which is the mixture of area-based development and a little bit of development. But the greenfield projects are totally greenfield projects, which is like a complete land you are digging, 4 level of fiber, bringing up the surface. So that is the infrastructure, But in ADB, area-based developments, we have limitations today to integrate with the ICT and we to live with the existing conditions, what we get in the IoT. So setting up this contest of this, I would like to, uh, Mr. Mahendra Singh Tanwarji, Commissioner of Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation, He's put his views on the transformation of urban infrastructure, digitalization, the changes.
Mahendra, Mahendra sir, before you start, I'd just like to welcome Mr. Manish Mishra ji.
Thank you
He's
so much for inviting
representing
me.
Qualia Smart City.
Like to put my, yeah, thank you so much, and I would like to put my views on accelerating digital transformation for smart cities in the context of urban infrastructure. This is the topic for today. So before starting, I would like to say one thing that Ghaziabad has been selected as a smart city by the state, not by the central government. So we have been selected as a smart city from the government, and we are yet to start on this. But I will like to share my own experiences here in Ghaziabad, since the topic is digital transformation. So this is true that digital transformation is the way ahead, and we need to focus more and more in coming times when we are speaking regarding digital transformation. I would like to share a few things which we are doing here in Ghaziabad. Ghaziabad is a very dynamic municipal corporation. We have recently set up thanks to Digital India, because since we are running it, we are able to cop up, we are able to tap our potential regarding grievance redressal. Call center is playing wonderful role under the of the people. Under one roof, we are able to solve them. So this is one thing we are doing here in Ghaziabad. I would like to put another thing, because time is short, so I will not explain, I will not elaborate much more and more on these topics. Second, we are doing here GIS mapping of properties. So GIS mapping is very interesting, because when we speak for Ghaziabad, around 3,30,000 houses are here in Ghaziabad, which are, when we spoke about this, then with the help of GIS mapping, we are thinking that we can tap at least 5 lakh housing in Ghaziabad, because with the help of mapping, we can increase the tax base of Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation. This is a second thing which we are doing, GIS mapping of properties. Third interesting project we have started is color coding of streets and roads. So color coding is an idea, because since municipal corporations are a big entities, so here the problem is that we are not sure that which road has been taken when. So at times we feel that a few roads are taken regularly due to many reasons, and few areas and few roads are not taken up for the development, for the patching and for repair work. They are neglected all the time. So with the help of digital initiative, I think we can tap that also. So we are also working on the color coding, and we are giving coding. Coding is basically to give the identity to the road and street, not only the roads, but very small streets in the wards. So color is basically to give them priority, red, yellow, and green. So red roads will be taken first, then yellow, and then green. Green will be the newest roads. eGNN is also one of the area where we are working. We are putting all the services of a corporation at one place. The app will be eGNN. So we are integrating all the digital platforms already running, and we are integrating that under one umbrella. So next is e-office and e-HRMS. We have also applied for the e-office. We are in the process. We are getting some permissions from NIC and the state government. So e-office we are also going to implement in few months. And then GPS enabled vehicles. We have all vehicles GPS enabled, and we have a control room where we monitor all the vehicles, their timing, their trips, their diesel consumption. Everything is being monitored digitally. Few more projects are in pipeline under smart city, state smart city project. Smart lighting is one which you have mentioned, Sandeep. And second, water metering, digital water metering we are planning. And leakage mapping is also a project which we are using digital initiatives in that. And one project is also, because Ghaziabad is in NCR, and many property of municipal corporation is encroached by the encroachers and bhumafias. So we are also using technology, especially digital initiatives in the field of property mapping. So we are giving unique identification number to all the gatas and khasras of our land, which belongs to LMC, Land Management Committee. So we are also working on that. These are some issues. These are some initiatives taken in Ghaziabad. As far as challenges are concerned, so I would like to conclude on two things. One is connectivity. I was observing here also. We are discussing about digital transformation for smart cities, and I was observing that few among us were also facing some network issues. So when we say that digital transformation is the key and the way ahead, we need to focus on the connectivity and infrastructure of digital infrastructure. We need to focus on that. Second is that the human resource which will handle this digital infrastructure, we need to focus on that also, because what is happening, we are saying that everything should be digitized, but at the same time we don't have the manpower, we don't have the human resource to handle that digital infrastructure. I think we need to focus on these two areas, and we need to focus on the capacity building also. I think these are my views from Ghaziabad.
For your insight regarding Ghaziabad, digitalization. And the important point, it's a very progressive direction. But you have told it a single application where you are integrating all the services. And the grievance addressal system is already there in place. As you know, citizen grievances is the first basic thing of any smart city. And GIS mapping is already done, there. And it's a very good sign moving ahead for collecting the tax, identifying the taxpayers, and identifying the citizens in the city, because sustainability is the main thing, as such, you rightly said. And color coding of the roads is a fantastic example of RGB, red, green, blue, how you are identifying and giving the priority for the roads. So thank you so much for your insight, and good luck for Ghaziabad to be more coming up with more smart services in near future. We look forward. So with this, I would like, yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your insights in Ghaziabad, and thank you so much for Ghaziabad. And I would like to invite Mr. Anant Ayal, the district collector of Bemtara, Chhattisgarh, to put his views on the digital transformation in smart cities, and what are the thoughts, and what are the challenges, and what is the route forward, sir. Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone, and thanks a lot for inviting me here. I concur with most of the statements and most of the things that Mr. Tawar said from his experience in Ghaziabad. And I believe that in most of the Indian cities, the core issues are the same, like encroachments and some problems with all kinds of people. But the way that we approached this problem and the core issue being land was more or less similar, but I would like to add a couple of more observations. So what happens is that in our cities, we have a multitude of records. So like a same city might have, like Raipur might have a revenue record, which is maintained by the revenue department. Then it might have a Nazul record or an urban record, which is maintained by the urban department. Then there will be another zoning plan by the town and country department, town and country planning department. Then there will be another plan from the industries department. So citizen, in order to get the basic services relating to land and permissions, he has to go to so many offices, and sometimes there is a mismatch between data. So it creates a lot of problems also. So what we had done in Raipur was that the GIS survey that we got done. So it was a drone-based GIS survey, and it covered the entire city. And we had a very detailed data of each and every property, almost on the same terms like Ghaziabad has done. So we also have around 3 lakh properties. So every property was mapped, and now we have tried to converge all data relating to that property in a single database. For example, if I am one of the 3 lakh property holders, so my revenue record, my urban administration record, my permissions which can be granted as per the zoning policy, etc. Everything can be can be obtained from a single click based on the data which I have obtained from the GIS. So this data integration is one of the we have not achieved what we wanted to completely, but we have made some good progress, and I believe that in the next year or so we'll be successful in converging all these things into a single window. And for a common citizen, it will be very easy if he wants to get his property record from the same database. He can access the revenue department and he will get the property record, which is the ownership record. If we want to see how much property tax that is due to that particular citizen, we can see that also. And there is a lot of, since digitization has been introduced, a lot of reform has taken place in terms of property tax collection also. Earlier there were a lot of malpractices when it came to the calculation of property tax. So consequently, our earnings as an urban body is also increasing. So more or less, if we invest in a technological initiative like serving each and every property with accuracy of very high degree of accuracy, so these things can they eventually make a lot of sense, because for the customer, for the citizen, convenience factor is there. For the administration, more control is there, and less malpractices. There's a very less chance of malpractices in such a situation, because any malpractices or any tampering can be easily identified. The second way that technology transformation has happened, and this I'm also sure that it is going on in many smart cities, it is in the area of command and control center. So now that our command and control center is fully functional, so the police is very happy with the functioning of this whole setup, because if they have any point or any vehicle that they need to trace, all they need to do is just give the number, and we can get the entire span wherever that vehicle has gone. Any coordinates, any data that is pertaining to that vehicle is available in the next 2 minutes. So this is also a deterrent to the potential criminals. It is also a deterrent to any kind of crime. And even the government people who are there on the streets, they're also conscious of the fact that there is somebody watching them. So a lot of malpractices and complaints of corruption are also declining a lot because of this surveillance. And naturally, there is a lot of progress to be made, but whatever beginning we have done is very encouraging, and it is encouraging us to introduce new initiatives also. The third thing that we are actually working on, but we have not really been able to implement this, it is the smart metering of any resource that is connected to the grid. For example, electricity, for example, running supply of water. So the vision in the long run is to ensure that all these resources are efficiently, there is an efficient transmission and distribution of these resources to the last mile, to the last house, and there is as little wastage as possible. And beyond that, the thing that we need to ensure is that the thefts, the pilferages are also reduced. So there are some solutions which are available in this context, which measure the flow of water and or the electricity consumption at various points and determine how much electricity it is going at various places. So we are coming up with new solutions for that. We are exploring new solutions, and maybe in the next few months we'll be in a position to implement these things also, so that whatever resources we consume, so at least we get as a urban body or as a electricity board or a water board, we get adequate remuneration for that from the citizens, and we use that remuneration properly to ensure our service delivery is at par with the best in the field. So this is the next step we have to take to ensure that digital transformation of smart cities actually reaches the common citizen in urban areas. So these are my three main points, and I believe that the way we are proceeding, it's a very encouraging thing, and an exchange of ideas on platforms like this is also very helpful to know where all we can improve. Again, thanks a lot. Hello.
I think, sir, Sandeep Rawat is disconnected. The thing which I was mentioning.
Okay. Uh,
I
Sandeep,
think Sandeep ji is
still
back now.
uh, am I
if you can please.
audible right now?
Yes, sir, we have heard
Yes, you
all
are.
the things.
Am I audible, Fahim? Am I audible? Sandeep here.
Hanji, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you
you
are.
are.
Yes, Sandeep, you are.
Should I go ahead? Am I audible?
Yes, 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 please, yes, please.
Yeah. So Anandji, thanks a lot. You have put a lot of light on the e-governance part of it. GIS mapping survey, what you have done, it will definitely give a lot of revenue, and sustainability is the main factor when you add technology to any smart city, sir. And see, single window concept is already there in most of the smart cities worldwide, where in citizen center you can go for your passport service, you can go for your land records, revenue records, next to the data center and command and control center, where citizen can go and avail all the services with the right direction, sir. And command and control, which is fully operational for the traffic and police today, and that is very good for citizens. But one more point I want to add here: you are policing the police also from the command and control center. You are seeing the hausalas when they are reaching, what are the times they are taking, when the ticket is being cut, what is the response time. So it's a mechanism not only for the citizen, but for policing the police also. What is the response time to the citizen? And smart metering grid is the concept which definitely will take your city to the next level. And wish you good luck for that.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for your views, sir. Thank you so much. So I would like to invite Mr. Raj, Chief Executive Officer from Chennai Smart City, for his views on digital transformation in smart cities and how Chennai has taken the journey. And Raj sir, over to you, sir, on your thoughts on this. Hello.
Mr. Sandeep, I feel Raj sir is on mute, and yeah, he's
Yeah, yeah.
unmuted.
Raj sir, can you unmute yourself, Raj sir? Hello, Raj sir, can you unmute yourself, please? Hello, Mr. Raj, can you please unmute yourself? Yeah, so Mr. Premji, we'll move forward, and I would like to
Yeah, I think so. There
invite
is
Mr. Neelkanta Bomanji, Joint Chief Executive Officer, Pimpri Chandwad Smart City, to add his views, and we'll again add Mr. Raj Saab when he will open his mic. So over to Mr. Neelkanta for his views for the Pimpri Chandwad Smart City Limited, sir.
Basically, sir, Pimpri Chinchwad smart city is a third round city. We are very late this coming in the smart city after 2 years. But we have been taken this very initiative steps of creating a basic infrastructure, digital infrastructure of the city. So we are in the process of making our city network optic fiber around 650 kilometers. Our city is predominantly industrial city. It is one of the auto hub of India, where Tata Motors, Volkswagen, all these industries are in my city. Uh, the basic infrastructure we are creating with the help with not only the corporation but the police also. For this infrastructure, our ICCC and COC is in one building where police department and this smart city municipal corporation are working hand to hand and jointly. We are now having our data center ready, and the data center, the infrastructure for this municipal corporation, school governance services, city services, lab, then the 24/7 call center, all are under one roof of the city. Basically, the digital infrastructure where IEEE is there in one of the center part of the city, and for the same city, we are installing the 4,500 CCTV cameras and making our city safe city with the help of police department. All these surveys and the places are divided by the help of the police department. Then the most important is the safe traffic and transport, where all the cameras are installed in all the chowks. So there, RLVD, red light violation detection, and the adaptive traffic system, which are this conversion of the old signals into the new signal, that is under process. Also, the mobile app we are developing for the citizens, for citizen engagement system, and social media cell, which are there in our smart city. So all the real-time data, all information is transferred this mobile app. Then the parking infrastructure, which is very important for this city nowadays, because you know the accelerating rate of the four-wheelers and two-wheelers, which need the smart parking. So we identify 30 locations in the city where we can on-site and off-site parking is possible, and the parking space available, not available, booking of the parking space is there in our mobile app, where citizens can get their login and they can book this parking. So that is possible on-site and off-site also. Most important infrastructure is the water infrastructure. So, with the help of install technology, we are going to install the water meters throughout the city, and that is smart meters, where we can take this of this data automatically with the help of this, we have tested this and we can start this. So, working through the smart city as a joint for the last 3 years, we decided instead of coming whole city as one part, we are integrating small area.
Nilkan sir, sorry to interfere. Nilkan sir, your voice is echoing.
Hello.
So I think so there is some problem in the mic.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
So basically, the smart, what is smart infrastructure? That is day-to-day need of the citizen. Day-to-day need of the citizen is for water. So the water network already served. We are working under JNRM, then Amrut projects. So we can having the 24 by 7 water facility, and we are making smart network with the help of SCADA. And SCADA is going to install our water purification center, water distribution center, and the real time of the data is available with in the mobile app for this water network. Same way, we are establishing our sewage treatment plant. All these sensor IoT-based devices with sewage center. This environmental We are installing 50 most important part of this smart infrastructure or digital infrastructure is the schools. We having 126 schools in our Pimpri-Chinchwad city. They are the municipal schools. Schools are going to convert into classroom. Under the traditional method of the teaching, we are going to convert on the where the concept of the Bala, the concept of the digital digital boards, smart boards, then the STEM labs, all this content is going to convert into the e-classroom. So basically, the school infrastructure is now renewed, and after the COVID pandemic, all the these students will get benefited. And we are creating infrastructure of this. Whatever the artificial intelligence we are using in these schools, so all the backbone connectivity there in our IEEE control command center. So these are the pan city concept, and where area based development is there in the city, we are converting all this road into streetscapes, the parking facility there, tracks, and walking plaza, everything is there in the ABD area. So these are our proposals where we are going to this smart cities. Very soon we are handholding this project to the city. That is challenges we are facing. That is the multi-authority communication. Where is the city? There is the state department. Police department.
Mr. Neelkantaji, Mr. Neelkantaji, can you put your mic little bit closer to you? It is echoing and the voice is getting little, echo. So can you please check your voice once? Mic, can you please bring little near to you, sir, while
Okay.
talking? Right, sir.
Now can you hear me? Hello, can you
Yeah,
hear
sir.
me?
Yeah. So please go.
So basically, my last 2-3 points is that the challenges for the implementation of these smart city project in this 100 cities. Multi-authority communication. Multi-authority communication is important. In the city, there is a department, electric department, national highway authority, where all permission are required that time consuming job. Secondly, the SPV created for the smart city, there is not having the separate staff or permanent staff. So all our work is dependent on the consultant. So my suggestion is that so we should have privilege of this staff and this. Third thing is the important uh, political will. So that is most important to implement this project. So that is one of the challenge. So this is my concern about this project. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, Neelkanta sir, for the insight and congratulations for entering the third stage of smart city implementation. And it's very nice for our audience and all the delegates to hear that the fiber is in place and ICCC Command and Control Center is getting ready. Smart parking and other services are there, and you have taken a lead in smart water, SCADA services, which is very, very encouraging in terms of smart infrastructure, adding to the smart cities, basically. And AI platform is already working. And you have also mentioned about the challenges that all the services to be integrated on a common platform, whether it's e-government services or other services. And we will definitely take your points and all the audience, for the sake of all audience. Thank you so much for the insight you have given. And we look forward more contribution from your end on the question answer session, sir. Thank you very much, Neelkanta sir. So I would like to invite Mr. Raj, Chief Executive Officer from Chennai, to please share his thoughts on the journey of the Chennai smart city till now. So,
Sure.
Raj, sir?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. I think, like I was saying earlier, I think even before the smart city started, there was quite a bit of initiative to digitize buildings using drones and so on. So Chennai, and also, for example, we already had a very good ERP system from e-government foundation, and I think Chennai was one of the first places to implement something like that. So Chennai was used to some of these things before, but then smart city obviously took off in a very good way, and I can see a big difference in the last couple of years. So, for example, our command and control center, like many other examples that are spoken in by other guests, a lot of IoT devices and so on have been. I think there's some echo happening.
Sir, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead, sir. You are audible.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Command and control, for example, rain gauges and the usual pollution sensors, IoT devices are all up and running. And one of the things we have done is try to, what do you call it, more than thinking in terms of devices and data, we are thinking in terms of SOPs and use cases. See, because soon we are all going to be drowning in data from all these devices, digital devices. So the question becomes, if you are the commissioner, if you are the deputy commissioner or engineer, or even the public for that matter, what you're interested is not data. You're interested in SOP. What you want to know, okay, what do I do now? Okay, if some good or bad thing happen in the city, how do you react? And if possible, how do we, predict it and react even before it happens and so on. So, for example, if it's going to rain tomorrow, we need to be able to figure out where the flooding may happen or where the waterlogging may happen, which means digitally we need to be able to say which stormwater drain hasn't been cleared. So I think we need to get to a more predictive and rather than reactive kind of a mode. But at least right now, I can see that a lot of at least the reaction is better. So a lot of ICCC work has gone on. So the other massive digitization I can think of is, for example, we are implementing a massive citywide parking management system. This involves obviously the handheld devices, digital payment, and all that. But very importantly, it is also camera analytics based, so that a customer or the citizen who's driving will be able to figure out which slot is empty, which slot is full, where you can get a free place to park, and so on. So as you can imagine, it's a pretty complicated project, very a lot of cutting edge stuff, camera analytics and artificial intelligence and so on. Then our cycle sharing system, of course, is GPS enabled, app based, digital payment, and so on. Similarly, our multi-level car park is very fully digitized. I think it will hopefully get inaugurated in November, where the retrieval of a car, for example, is below less than 90 seconds. So you can imagine the electronics that happens, and we would like to have all those on off-street parking and on-street parking all integrated, so that citizen can just see one app and then figure out where to park, whether you want to go inside or whether you want to park on the road, different rates and so on. So I think in pretty much every aspect we have looked at various forms of digitization. Obviously, see, one of the gaps I can see in any Indian city, including Chennai, is project management tools. For example, if a big company like L&T is construction something, I'm sure they have all kinds of digital tools that helps bring efficiency to the process, so that they are aware of what material was used, when it was used. If one department doesn't do something, what are the consequences of to the project? All these kinds of digitization is completely missing in our city, because if you look at all our projects, we are pretty much like various construction companies, right? Whether it is road construction or a plaza or a multi-level car park. And without these tools, I think there's a lot of inefficiencies. And when I say tools, I'm also assuming there will be a lot of digital mapping of underground utilities, digital mapping of trees, etc., etc. Lack of all this is causing a lot of havoc, a lot of wastage, a lot of delays in projects, and so on. So I think we clearly, all our cities, all smart cities especially, need to move towards better digitization in terms of governance, in terms of process, and so on. Then I think our classrooms, just to quickly say, we had started with 28 smart classrooms with Samsung in collaboration, but now we are actually expanding it to many other schools. This involves not only computers and tablets and so on, but more importantly, electronics and whether it's face recognition for attendance, or very importantly, individualized teaching to children. So, for example, a teacher can't handle more than a few kids, and he or she cannot be so individually focused on the child. That's not humanly possible. But a lot of software can actually keep track of a child. And if, let's assume I am not so somewhat slow in math, and you are, let's say, faster. Today in a class, it is very difficult to pay special attention to me and figure out where I'm missing or where I'm not good. But a lot of electronics, a lot of software is able to use analytics to figure out chatbot and so on, to figure out that I don't understand certain basic concepts, so that without insulting me, the computer is able to teach me gently, that these concepts are weak. So once I'm strengthened in that concept, they're able to go to the next level. All kinds of amazing tools are now available, and we are trying to deploy that in our corporation school so that children can learn better, the output is better. So I can go on like this because there's so much happening in the city, and I'm sure I'm so glad to hear Faridabad and other places, they're all doing amazing work. But I think yesterday, for example, I was moderating the Honorable Prime Minister had inaugurated RAISE, the Responsible AI for Social Inclusion or Empowerment. And I can see that the sky is the limit when it comes to now AI in terms of health, in terms of education, all kinds of field, whether it's agriculture, pest control, all kinds of things. AI is coming in. So I think the basics of what we have done, whether it is parking management or other kinds of IoT devices and all this I suspect will now start having multiplier effect once we start collecting all these different datas, letting AI tell us how to leapfrog and improve beyond this. So I think we are sitting on a gold mine when it comes to how to help the public, how to give better services and products to the public and improve governance. And AI, blockchain, etc., are going to be, absolutely revolutionary when it comes to a lot of our projects. I'll just end by saying we are in the DPR process for intelligent traffic management system, intelligent traffic transport system. This involves two pieces. One, of course, is the traffic police side, where we will be using electronics and cloud and whatnot to completely automate the signals, improve the efficiency of each junction. But more importantly, your people should be able to travel better in corridors, more green, which means automatically less pollution and so on. And of course, very importantly, taking accidents and safety into account. On the other side, we have a bus company where we are going to be doing passenger information system, fleet management, depot management, and so on, so that this shift towards public transport becomes more realistic and real. Today, for example, many of those things don't exist. So the efficiency of the bus company, of course, could be better, and that's what we are hoping to achieve. Which also brings in the concept of common ticketing and smart cards and whatnot. Smart card does exist, but then integration of these various agencies is the next step between Metro Rail, bus, and maybe some of the private transport providers, paratransit, and so on. This has been discussed for quite a bit of time, but I think Chennai, hopefully in the near future, will be able to start deploying. So, like other cities, thanks to Smart City Mission, I think Chennai, like other cities, are doing a lot of work, cutting edge work in these digital. And I'm sure these kinds of get-togethers and webinars and seminars clearly help us learn from each other. So thanks a lot.
To all of us, very, very interesting aspect that data of the city you are converting into SOP and use cases. What is required, and the basic e-governance model what Chennai has already implemented. So it's going in a direction where now smart parking, other services what you are implementing, digital mapping, and smart classroom. These are not smart labs. We understand you're talking next step as smart classroom, collaborated classrooms in Chennai. Smart labs, already the project has been done, as we understand. And very importantly, you pointed out area, ITMS area. And if you see structure-wise in any smart city, transportation contributes 22%, highest, as a service, then your city surveillance 12% and other services. There are more than 250 services. You can pick and choose, other mandates, of cities. So this ITMS will definitely bring a single common card, which you can use in metro, cabs, and buses also, and integrating depot management, integrating bus terminals, integrating PIS systems, which tender is already on. So, sir, we appreciate the efforts and we appreciate your insight given for Chennai Smart City. And the TN Fiber project is also due, which is pending, and definitely it will give a definitely digital edge to all the smart city upcoming projects in Chennai, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your insight. Thank you so much, Raj, sir. So I would like to invite our eminent speaker, Mr. Anup Chaturvedi, Country Manager, HP India, Pointnext Services. From the industry side now, we would like to hear views from HP India and the projects, what they have done and how they have taken this digital journey transformation in smart cities in India. So, Mr. Anup Chaturvedi, please, we would like, your views, please bring on the table.
Yeah.
For benefit of all. Yeah.
Thank you. Sure. Sure. Thank you, Sandeep ji. Dhanyavad. I think it was very interesting to hear how our policymakers across the cities are looking at how do they act in a manner such that the life of citizens become much more easier, and the happiness index of the cities actually goes up. So, in my personal capacity as well as in my professional capacity of working with various smart city missions, I think one thing is very clear, that we are living in an era where a paradigm shift has happened, and because of that, the technology orientation or adaptation to technology is something that will be driving the future. Things like assisted learning initiatives that Chennai Smart City is taking, or things like Gwalior Smart City, which is where you are already talking about doing the entire drone-based system in terms of the smart surveillance or the smart record optimization and all. I think one thing is clear, that we will be having a lot of data over a period of time. So from a technology viewpoint, as a technologist, how do I look at it? Or from a future point of view, how do I look at it? I think we have already started a journey in terms of getting the data, or getting into a SOP based system where technology will be used to fulfill the ambitions or vision of our policymakers across the country. And technology as a tool or as an aid will be used to enhance the way we live, the way we work, and the way we operate. So I think clearly the entire solution has to be around smart monitoring, has to be around smart management, and then it has to be around smart analytics, which will be resulting into smart optimization. So and unless we actually cover all the four elements of it, we will not be successful. So one first challenge, as sir from Ghaziabad clearly called out, the biggest issue today is not in terms of technology. The biggest issue is coming in form of is coming in form of connectivity. So we need to, first thing is that we need to look at how do we try and enhance the overall connectivity experience. Now, when I say connectivity experience, it is not only about providing connectivity, but it is also about creating systems or applications which consume less bandwidth, so that systems can even run on lesser capacity, which is available in tier 2 or in tier 3 cities. Two, if we really need to do some of these analytics at the edge, where we spoke about a lot of camera based analytics and the outcome which was coming into smart parking solutions, smart surveillance solutions, safety oriented solutions, etc., etc. I think that's where one more thing is important, is that how do we try and make these decisions fast? And in order to enable that, we need to have a focus on the edge analytics, because not everything can go to the command center, not everything can go to the cloud, and decisions have to be taken on the fly. Three, the humongous data which will be coming out after the automation of objectives of different smart cities like Pimpri and Chinchwad or Chennai smart city are completed, it is important that we how do we try and mine this data in order to make sure that we take smart decisions. I really love the idea of leakage mapping, and I think the biggest issue with a country like India is not about resources. Fortunately, we are blessed with a lot of resources. The only challenge that we have is in terms of how do we try and manage the leakages in various systems, and that's where the fear psychosis will actually play when cameras are around the corner. A fear psychosis will come play when transparency has to be ensured in multiple systems, and more than anything else, I think technology will also act as a deterrence to some of these anti-transparency kind of a systems. So from a technology viewpoint, future looks very bright because we will be having a lot of data, and on this data we need to now mine this data. So we as HPE from a technology viewpoint are working on enhancing the experience, one from the connectivity viewpoint, and that's where we have systems like Aruba systems, where we are talking some next generation privacy or some next generation security systems, because once you will have so many citizens, once you will have so many systems coming on board, it will be important for you to secure those systems in the right manner. Two, once these systems will come in into a ICCC kind of a setup, you really cannot just go and burst into cloud, because with government systems there is a lot of secrecy, there is a lot of privacy which has to be ensured at all the time, and that's where we believe that the world is going to move into a very hybrid kind of a profile, where some of the non-critical systems or some of the systems which can be monetized may be open and may be put onto cloud kind of a profile, whereas the other systems which need the relevant security mechanisms or need to be housed into the ICCC only, and hence they will be on-premise systems. But what HPE did differently was that we started some solutions like HPE GreenLake solutions, which are which live in between, which live in a hybrid world, where the on-premises solutions and the off-premises solutions like cloud coexist together. And the on-premise solutions, the policymakers need not worry about a huge capex into these systems, because all these systems, whether it is at edge or it is a data center or it is a storage solution or it is an analytics solutions, these are available on a consumption based model, which means on a metering kind of a model, just the way they were available in cloud. So as HPE, our vision is on all three grounds. One, the sustainability part, where after my systems retire, how do and what do I do with those systems so as to dispose of those systems in the right manner, such that they do not become a burden on the environment. Two, I should be able to bring in that economical flexibility so that such vision is fulfilled in the right way and in the right manner, as well as the POC setups for various smart cities could be enabled at a very low cost, as well as we could grow along with the smart cities as and when these use cases actually grow over a period of time. Three, from a technology viewpoint, we are working on systems and platforms and a couple of Make in India application service providers, as we believe that no single technology service provider will have solution to all the problems of a city. And especially we are seeing a lot of startups are coming up with a lot of crazy ideas. They are able to really solve a lot of problems, but all they need is scale. And the citywide systems and the startups have to be integrated in a manner such that they actually become openly interfaceable. They become the data can be shared between multiple systems in a manner such that it can be monetized and utilized in the most optimum manner. And that's where HPE has come out with a lot of platforms, a lot of optimization on container based platforms, a lot of microservices architecture, etc., which is helping these startups to work on these things. So we are working with multiple smart cities where we have worked on center of excellences. We are working with a lot of smart cities where we are working with them in terms of strengthening the non-medical interventions on COVID-19 initiatives. We are working with a lot of smart cities and a lot of smart villages rather, where we are working on smart schools, and we have already implemented close to around 200 primary healthcare modernization initiatives in the form of e-health centers which are already running. So we believe that the future is going to be hybrid. We believe that the future is exciting in terms of the data optimization and the rule-based systems which will be enabling our policymakers to take the right decisions. And that's where we believe that we have to work in a manner such that we have to bring other technology service providers, other application service providers, as well as policymakers together on the common ground, so that one, commercially we offer the best solutions, 2, technologically we offer the best solutions, and 3, the solutions are not only from our side but also coming from community based solutions like open source or open standard solutions. We integrate all of them in a manner such that all these systems are available from a 360-degree view perspective and are able to fulfill the requirement of our policy makers, such that they are able to take such ambitious or bold moves in terms of helping in us living in a better life. So I think that is what I feel about the future of smart cities and how we can really accelerate the smart city mission for the country. Over to you, Sandeep.
Who brought out from the industry side expert is the ecosystem partners. Like the way one person can't give, one OEM can't give, or one system integrator MSI. So you have to go as a team, and you are integrating startups also with crazy ideas, which is really giving the next thought of smart cities ideas. But coming to the basics like connectivity, what you rightly pointed out, any services what you will launch is based on a connectivity. Whether it's a metro service, whether it's a ITMS project or a command and control center, or hell lot of services like 15 services and all we are launching today. Tomorrow it will go up to 200 to 300 services as per the theme of the city, and a common platform of e-governance will come. Edge analytics, you rightly said, why to move in a data center or a cloud, which is a very good insight from your side, which definitely solve a lot of problems at the edge only for the analytics, rather than taking a data to the command and control center and analyzing it and giving the results. And the good thing is that the green leaf concept, we are very pleased to hear that now in command and control centers you are talking on premise and off premise. You are giving both the options to the government customers also, like pay and use kind of model, where when you implement a command and control center, every 3 years to 5 years, there's a tech refresh. And you have to spend a hell of money in that, sir. And really, it's a very good direction for the government also to implement these kind of models and to go ahead with these kind of things. And hybrid model will definitely the answer, that you can't send everything on a cloud because of the secrecy of data also and downloading the data. And big data, as you rightly pointed out, this data will tell tomorrow if I am putting up, cable down, or if I'm putting a pipe down, water pipe. After 50 years, when there's a leakage, how can I get that pipe? GIS mapping, okay, but data is there or not? Big data is there or not? How we are going to save that data and extract that data at the point of time when we require in a smart city. And last but not least, you have touched the villages, and it's a very good idea where education hubs and in healthcare also. In COVID time, your command and control centers are converted into COVID response, where you are monitoring from the cameras, where the crowd is there, where they are wearing masks and all, using AI and ML engines. So thank you very much for the insight, Anup Chaturvedi ji. Thanks a lot and good luck, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to invite Mr. Manish Mishra ji, PRO, from the Gwalior Smart City, to please put his views and ideas on how we accelerate in a smart city using technology and how we get to the next step. Manish Mishra ji.
Right. Thank you, Sandeep. And on behalf of Gwalior Smart City, I extend my greetings to each participant. And I was just listening to Anu from HPE, who also happen to be our partners for establishing the wonderful command and control center. So when we talk about accelerating the digital transformation, I like to think the contribution that the command center extended in terms of combating COVID. Now, I would like to share a few things that
I think so. There is some network problem with Manish's. So meanwhile, I think so. Sandeep ji, if you can, Acha, Manish ji is back. Manish ji is back. Also, I'll request everyone to
Yeah, Manish
mute
is
their
back.
mic when speaks. It echoes actually.
So, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Please go.
All right. I'm sorry for the lost connection. Now, the biggest contribution that our command center had was towards fighting corona. So, the first thing which we did from the command center was containment zone mapping, which was done through geofencing and which helped in establishing incident commanders and shooting out people and monitoring as many as 39 incident commanders. Uh, Hi, is it
Yeah,
okay
yeah,
now?
Manish. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are audible,
I'm
sir.
sorry, I
Please
am
go ahead.
connected from a different device. So
No
that
problem.
was one. Containment zone mapping was one of the very key instrumental initiatives which we did from the command and control center. Besides that, there was CCTV surveillance, which was also very crucial during the border checkpost thing, while the lockdown conditions were eased. So we were really grateful that our command center came up in time. It was inaugurated on January the 31st, and by the time COVID action plan came into force, we were already ready. So much so that by 24th of March, we were able to provide medical consultation through digital media from our command and control center itself, which meant that all that panic which existed during March, wherein people were very apprehensive to approach a medical consultant or a doctor. They could simply just get a medical consultation over the WhatsApp video call through the medical team from hospitals. Besides that, there was this. There was ELI and SARI uh, tracking for patients who had influenza like illness or severe acute respiratory syndrome. So these patients could also be tracked through the command and control center. So as we talk about accelerating digital transformation, I think this was one of its own kind of disaster management which was to be done, and all this digital transformation and the setup of command and control center came in handy. Besides that, if I talk about other projects, Smart Class is a project which we have been very successfully doing. And with the current pandemic situation, I think digital education has taken a new requirement as such. I mean, it is the necessity of the day. Uh, Besides the regular or the physical classes, digital education, though it started with the likes of maybe Byju's or other learning platforms, but today each and every school, each and every teacher is somehow used to it. So we are glad that we had set up 37 smart classes at Gwalior last year itself. Beyond that, there's a great smart parking initiatives involving 24 locations and housing accommodating as many as 3,000 four-wheelers and about 8,000 two-wheelers, which is currently being undertaken by Gwalior Smart City. And all these can be remotely monitored through our command and control center. Soon we would be integrating it with the app, wherein a person can book a parking slot well in advance. Even for the smart city bus service that we are currently running, everything has been now connected with the ICCC, which means that the ticketing availability, the GPS based tracking of these buses, everything can be done from under a same roof, under one roof. So there are a lot of technical transformations and interventions which Gwalior as a smart city has adopted thus far. If we talk about the upcoming projects, we have recently come up with a digital and virtual museum. Now, museums are places which are known to exhibit the culture and heritage of any given city. Now, everyone who, whenever a museum comes into mind, that word, when we hear of it, what comes into our mind is old artifacts, old instruments, paintings, and other handicrafts which are there on a display. Well, even these things are there in our museum, but the beauty is that we have complemented it with virtual reality, with augmented reality. We have given them access to unlimited pieces of information. So, wherein every museum had a limitation that this was covered, this was missed, with the intervention of digital technology. Thankfully, we have covered a lot much about Gwalior, its heritage, its culture, the kingdoms, architecture, photography, cuisine, and whatnot. Everything related to Gwalior has now been packaged into a digital form, which people can come and experience at the digital museum. And if we talk about much bigger projects, we are coming up with GIS mapping. We have already initiated ITMS as well, which means the traffic violations can be kept under uh, a sincere check. Besides checking it, there is a public address system in place. There's a facade lighting project which we are coming up with, which again can be digitally controlled and monitored. So asset management is another key area which digital transformation can definitely be infused into, and we can look towards other advantages also. So when we talk about accelerating the digital transformation for urban infrastructure, I believe this year has been uh, probably, I mean, I would not say fortunate, but a great learning for all the smart cities as to how digital interventions can help you not only in developing a city or maybe ease of life, ease of living, but also as a disaster management tool, which we have witnessed. And Anup is here from HPE, who are our partners, as I told, for ICCC. Now, if such partnerships are forged towards other areas as well, I'm sure there's a lot of potential for each smart city to grow leaps and bounds and ultimately benefit the citizens. This is what I have to say. Thank you. Over to you, Sandeep.
Sandeep ji, your mic is mute. If you can on the
Thank
mic.
you. Thank you. Mr. Manish Mishra ji, thank you so much. In addition to IoT infrastructure, what we are doing, you have basically touched on the point of objective of a smart city. Gwalior being a heritage smart city, the digital library is coming in, and you are taking a lot of initiatives. That really clears that we have to first save the ethics and essence of the city. Then the city should not change direction. Thank you so much for touching that point. And in healthcare, you have touched the points like today how COVID monitoring is happening in Gwalior Command and Control Center with the help of AI and ML, things what they are using, artificial intelligence, machine learning processes. And education also from 37, you will grow to 500 because this is growing now in classrooms. We already done it. So thank you for putting the insight and the smart parking and other things are already in place. So thank you so much for giving an insight on Google. Good luck, sir. And I would like to invite Mr. Amit Kumar Sharma, Nodal Officer from Jhansi Smart City, since the Jhansi Smart City project is already under implementation. So we would like to hear from him how the technology digital is accelerating to take to the next step, sir. Over to Mr. Amit Kumar Sharma ji.
I think so. Mr. Amit is also facing challenge with his network. Mr. Amit, you there? I think so. There's a network problem with Mr. Amit. Sandeep ji, I think so. You can continue with other speakers, and when Amit ji comes in, then I think so. You can ask Mr. Amit to speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhaji. So, I would like to go back to HPE. Sir, we would like to ask you, in terms of the, so smart, like one is infrastructure, Amrut, where we have done a lot of contributions. Smart health card is coming in. Already, your services are there. So how you are foreseeing transportation, which is the main leg in infrastructure to develop a city, and what are the initiatives what HP is looking Point Next Services to bring in India to take to the next level, like common card, single citizen card in cities, multimodal transportation, or like the Modi ji has said now, we have to integrate all the systems, rather than police is working in silos, public transportation working in silos. So, sir, what are your ideas on smart
Yeah,
transportation? If you can put some light, yeah.
sure, Sandeep ji. Thank you. So, so as HPE, we are working with a couple of large cities on the transportation initiatives, especially. And in fact, on the transportation perspective, we have been working with railways for a very, very long time. In fact, we worked on the IRCT systems a couple of decades back, and the system still is running in a superb manner. We work with multiple railways and other transportation providers. I think, like the way it happened in banking, that we had to integrate multiple systems so that the banking experience for a citizen is enhanced in a manner such that for a citizen, it should not matter which bank is he a customer of. He should be able to avail the banking services irrespective of the fact that which bank is he really a native customer of, rather. In the same manner, I think, from a transportation viewpoint also, the future is where it should not matter that I'm traveling on a particular mode of transportation. I should be able to have a visibility of end to end, in terms of if I have to go from point A to point B, how much time it will take if I use multiple modes of transportation, and how much money should I be spending in. And three, how I would be able to save time. How that can happen is by way of three things. One, if we are able to integrate these systems in a manner such that the data sharing, to the extent of the data which is required to be shared. Say example, for a transportation system, maybe the location of a particular locomotive, or the location of a particular vehicle, or a utility vehicle, or a public services vehicle. We should be able to track the location of that, to map it with the location of a particular individual who's looking at the transportation mode. Three, then the prospective mode of transportation should also be built into the simulation, and you can do that to some extent today. Google is already offering that as an experience, but if we have to really experience that experience to our citizens, then we have to map each and every asset which today Google cannot do, or would not want to do, or we would not want that to be done, because ideally the data from a sovereignty perspective also has to reside with the service provider, which is like a municipal corporation or a transportation service provider. And we believe that challenge can be met if we are able to provide the same level of services from an analytics point of view, from a data repository point of view, from a data analysis point of view, and from a decision support system point of view, right within the premises of the service providers themselves. So API based integration, where a service bus architecture, which is the earlier generation of that, will actually go away, and you will be able to have, let's say, open APIs of a particular system, let's say of a railways, or of a bus transportation system, or of even or of other vehicle sharing systems prevalent within the city, like a cab or something like that. So they should be able to share the data. Two, you should be able to analyze how much do my citizens need at all or not, because in a particular pocket of a city, the same service may not be as much required at all. So cities should be able to take smart decisions based on that. And three, from a commercial point of view, the ticketing system of various service providers should be integrated in a manner such that a user should not be really worried whether he has to buy a railway ticket from a unreserved ticketing system like a UTS, or a passenger reservation system like the reservation of the railways, or to a seat reservation system in a bus using a particular service provider. He should be able to have a seamless experience on whether it is a ferry service in a city like Bombay, or it is a service which is on road transportation, or it is an aggregation of a service provider like a Ola or a Uber or any other aggregator for that matter. And it should be done in a seamless manner. And for that, all that you need to do is to have a open standards, open API based system architecture, and a API management platform. And you should be able to have a small web utility which should be able to drive data from this and publish it for the service provider. And then using a repository, or building a repository like a data lake kind of a system for the service provider, like a municipal corporation or a smart city, which should be able to then take decisions as to which category of citizens are looking at these services, which locations of the cities are we looking at these services, and how many users are we looking at from a viability perspective, or should we be using something like a crowdfunding kind of a scenario in order to build these services. So I think that's the future from a vision point of view on the transportation systems. I can tell you that there is a lot of work which is already happening in terms of white papers being published on such systems. And I think if I see the smart city index across the globe today, the city which has the maximum predictability in terms of transportation modes, or a truly integrated transportation system, is Singapore, or I mean a city or a country, whatever we may want to call it. And that's the reason there is a seamless experience. And I think most of our cities are already on that journey, and that is where I think that our policymakers are ahead of the curve as compared to a lot of other cities in across the globe. And as HPE, we are very keen to partner with cities who want to start up with a small POC setup, or cities which would want to explore such an experience, or would want to set up a small COE where application service providers or startups can come and test their systems from a smart city perspective. So we are very keen on working on some of these initiatives. At the end of the day, as Poinex Services, we are nothing but a technology enthusiast. So if you have a challenge, then all that we need is we need to know of that challenge so that we can come and work on a technology viewpoint and fix that issue. So I think there is nothing which is undoable. There is nothing which is impossible. And we live in a world which is full of possibilities. And I think our policymakers have proved it, as Manish ji already called out, when they converted the command and control centers to COVID assistance centers. So I think it's the brilliance of the vision is really unparalleled as compared to any other policymaker that we see across the globe. Over to you, Sandeep.
Yeah, Anupji, thanks a lot for giving an insight how the systems will be connected in future. What is the transportation layer, which is the most important layer, in upcoming all the smart cities. Thank you so much for the technology insight on this. And I would like to request Mr. Amit Kumar Sharma ji, Nodal Officer from Jhansi Smart City, to please bring a views, as Jhansi is already already going on the implementation phase, sir. Smart city.
I think so. We again lost Amit. He was there. So, anyways, I think so. Sandeep, again, if he joins, then okay. But meanwhile, you can just take one closing remarks from everyone, and then we can move towards ending the panel.
Yeah, Fahim ji. So if Amit ji will be back, we will take the closing remark from him also. So I would like to invite Mr. Mahindra Singh ji, to have his remarks regarding insights he has given for Ghaziabad, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. I was listening carefully from all the speakers, and literally, it is a great knowledge sharing platform. And I think in future we can do many more such kind of conclaves. My last thing which I have missed in my statement was that everybody has focused in almost every areas, but I think smart cities can also think on ERP system, enterprise resource planning, because we are handling a lot of resources, both man, material, and machine. I think ERP system can play a wonderful role in coming times. I think we should focus on this also.
Thank you, Mahindra ji. Thanks a lot for your remarks. And I would like to invite Mr. Shiv Anand Tayal Saab, Collector Bemtara, Chhattisgarh, to please put his views regarding the closing remarks, sir.
I think so. Shiv Ananta also just left you 2-3 minutes back.
So I would like to request Mr. Raj Sahab to please give his closing remarks.
Raj sir also left 2 minutes back.
No problem, sir. So I'm going back to
Raj sir
Mr.
is here. Raj
Neelkant.
sir is here. Raj sir is here.
Raj Sahab, yeah. Raj Sahab, please, your closing remarks, sir. For the...
Raj sir, your mic is mute. I think so. We can move. Raj.
Yeah, Mr. Neelkanta Sahab, can you please give your closing views, sir?
So, all the smart city, where the services, who is get benefited, that is more important. And the citizen or people, socially how they are getting benefits of the smart cities, all this infrastructure, IoT. So where the poor people, those are living in the slums and low poverty lines. So how much they get benefited from all these activity, and how they come to the this line of citizens. So that is a more important aspect. So just like last mile connectivity, so last person having the all the facilities of this smart element, smart utility, smart infrastructure, then only with the spirit city smart. Okay, so all the smart should all the always not going to benefit those who are can afford. So those who are not afford, so they will be having all the type of the access to do the like the digital inclusion, financial inclusion, learning all these e-classroom. So all these are for the inclusion of the smartness to the all type of the citizen. So that is my closing remarks.
Sandeep ji, you're mute.
I would like to request Mr. Manish Mishra ji to put the closing remarks. Manish Mishra ji.
It was a thanks Sandeep. It was a great session, and of course, I mean, some enormous learnings also did happen. It is always great to catch up with other smart cities and understand what new they are doing, and furthermore, what are the things that they are planning now. As Mahendraji rightly focused in his closing remarks towards establishing an ERP as well. So there are quite a few inputs like that. That of course, I mean, we can also take a leaf out of his book, and maybe they would help us to make the functioning of a smart city in a much better away. Also, since the topic for today's discussion was accelerating digital transformation, and somebody in the remarks, I'm extremely sorry for missing out who that person was, but talked about the social media. I think very change it was. So also inclusion of social media, because there was this instance of a Baba Ka Dhaba, Malviya Nagar, New Delhi yesterday, which went viral, and that person was literally crying into tears. An 80-year-old gentleman who wanted some help. So, thanks to the digital intervention through social media, there was a lot of support that he got, and similar things could also be taken up by smart cities, especially by people who are taking care of their social media and PR, and definitely look at establishing local platforms wherein the end users can be benefited. The ones who are needy can can be connected to the sources which may help. So that's all from me. Thank you. Over to you, Sandeep.
Sandeep, so your mic is mute, I think so. Anup, I think so. Last, it's like closing remarks from your end now.
Yeah, I think I love the closing remarks from all our esteemed panelists. As bright ideas as a ERP, which is the need of the hour, I think as we will have a lot of these resources coming onto platforms, it is important to monitor and manage these platforms also. So I think yes, we have to move on that. And my viewpoint is that I will just take this idea and I feel that we should be taking it one step forward. Is that I think when we are building such platforms, we don't need to look at legacy platforms like conventional ERPs. My request will be that we can look at systems which are trust-based systems like blockchain, or in fact, blockchain is more of a internet-oriented term. So at times we are a little scared of the privacy issues associated, and that's where HPE has been working with R3 Corda, which is a permission-based distributed ledger system, and I think those systems can be used from a ERP point of view. The reason for that is so that every record on this ERP will become visible to not only the same city people, but also to people who live in multiple cities. So a person like me who operates from Delhi for work, family lives in Bombay, and in Corona is living in Mathura, wants to know and wants to have a visibility of my various systems in various cities. So I think as a citizen of the country, why when the vision is such grand that we are looking at the ERP systems, let's go one step forward and let's experiment with some new technology platforms where we will have an intercity view of various permission based systems of the entire resources which are available from a enterprise wide, or I will say I can say that country wide resource planning systems. So it can be a CWRP that we can give a name from this forum today, and that can go out as a word with Mahin sir's permission across the country, and we can use and experiment with that.
So with this, I think so we have come to the end of such an interesting panel. I think so if time wouldn't have been a constraint, we would have gone for discussing about all these topics here. And almost around there was a presence of almost around 7-8 cities here, plus an industry perspective from HP. Then Sandeep ji moderator, it's like you did a good moderation. So I'd like to thank you all, and I look forward to having you all in our future forums also. So with this, I think so I end this panel here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pareen ji.